I think we have historically, as a people, as Africans, particularly intellectuals, we have been somewhat poor in documenting our own story and our own exploits, successes, challenges, failures, and have often left it to others to undertake on our behalf. I can cite many examples of frontline African nationalists, people who were in many ways the founders of modern Africa, whose stories we are not able to tell precisely because we were not in a position to document their experiences and their contributions. It was in the context of this reflection that Codesria decided 2 years ago that it would begin to invest itself in what we call an oral documentation program, a program that is designed to ensure that with regard to prominent personalities, but also landmark events in the history of our continent, that we will get a production together that will tell a story from our perspective, from the experiences that we have had, either in the context of those events or with regard to the contributions of those personalities. And they could be academics, senior academics, who have made contributions, but they could also be public figures like Kofi Annan, who in many ways was perhaps one of the most prominent Africans of the 20th century by the time he got elected into the position of Secretary General of the United Nations, and who, by all accounts, in the context of the difficulties of the office, in the context of the limitations of the power of the Secretary General of the United Nations, acquitted himself with considerable credit.
On Saturday, 16th August 2002, at the Menchia Palace at Kumasi, the capital town of the Ashanti region of Ghana, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the king of the Ashanti kingdom, at a splendid and colorful Durbar, conferred on the 7th Secretary General of the UN, His Excellency Kofi Annan, the title Busumuru.
The Busumuru title was given to Kofi Annan, the 7th Secretary General of the world. He and the United Nations won the Nobel Prize for finding peace in the world.
He travels all over the world to negotiate and talk about peace. He is known as the man of peace.
The Queen Mother of the Ashantis, Nana Sewa Kubi Ampim, upon arrival at the Busumuru ceremony, pays homage to His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, King of the Ashanti Kingdom, and her biological son. His Excellency Kofi Annan, Secretary General of the UN, and his wife wearing kente, a hand-woven fabric worn by most Ghanaians, and sitting on the podium at the Busumuru conferment. They are flanked by Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama and Honorable J.H. Mensah.
Ghana ba Owura Kofi Annan. Animonyam. Miama fina miami nkwara ne santihina misomu obiara nsomu bio.
Ose edini free na fra onu santihina onu nkwa na osomu nipa titru bia nsomu bio.
Sadini no da benwa ho.
Ose sadini no e da benwa ho.
The citation for His Excellency Busumuru Kofi Annan, Secretary General of the United Nations, on his investiture. Ohiniba Kofi Annan, illustrious son of Ghana, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Asante Hene, and Asante Man are pleased to honor you today for your exemplary personal accomplishments, your distinguished service to humanity, your dedication to the cause of development, and your pivotal role in promoting world peace. Born and nurtured in Kumasi, you availed yourself of educational facilities in Ghana, namely in Fancy Film School and Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and then ventured forth into distant lands overseas, the United States of America and Switzerland, to widen your intellectual horizons. Thereafter, you secured a foothold in the United Nations system as a junior officer and steadily rose through the ranks by your industry, intellectual prowess, and single-minded prosecution of your goals until you were elevated to the august and unique position of Secretary General. All sons and daughters of Africa are inspired by this remarkable feat, a powerful reminder of the triumph of industry, faith, resolution, and dedication over all impediments. Beyond your personal professional attainments, your role in the global arena has earned universal acclaim. You have made tireless and relentless efforts to usher in a world order where, in the biblical words of Isaiah, spears have been beaten into plows. Your wise counsel, when heeded, has stilled the clash of arms, replaced confrontation with negotiation and diplomacy, and generally installed peace where conflict prevails. Though your position demands a cosmopolitan approach, you have not forgotten your roots. You have devoted considerable attention to eradicating the causes of conflict and promoting durable peace and sustainable development in Africa. You have invested much time and energy in fighting the scourge of HIV/AIDS, which has bedeviled this continent. You have made valiant efforts to improve the status of women and children throughout the world. You have attempted to build closer partnerships between the United Nations and civil society, the private sector, and other non-state actors whose strengths complement those of the United Nations. In particular, you have initiated a global compact involving leaders of the world business community as well as labor and civil society organizations aimed at enabling the world's people to share the benefits of globalization. By waging a relentless war on disease, poverty, and degradation of human dignity, and as a champion of peace and world unity, you eminently deserve to be honored with the traditional title of Busumuru, which means a most respected and admired person who is reliable and ever dependable and prepared to offer his wisdom and knowledge to the needy. Excellency, for all your achievements and accomplishments, which are too numerous to be recited here, Otumfo Osei Tutu Asante Hene, Asante Hema, and the Asante Man have the pleasure of conferring upon you the title of Busumuru. Please accept my congratulations.
His Excellency Kofi Annan and his wife Nan being escorted by Mampohene Dasibre Osei-Bonsu and accompanied by His Excellency Aliyu Mahama, the Ashanti Regional Minister, and others to receive the emblem of office. His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II decorates His Excellency Kofi Annan, Secretary General of the UN, with a chain of office and the insignia of the Busumuru title. According to the citation read by Nana Dr. Susupribi Krobia Asante, Omanhene of Asokore traditional area, Busumuru means a most respected and admired person who is reliable and dependable and ever prepared to offer his wisdom and knowledge to the needy. Indeed, that is what the Ashanti Kingdom, Ghanaians and Africans in general have found in His Excellency Kofi Annan. On behalf of the Asantehene and the Asanteman, Nana Osei Bonsu presents pieces of kente, a hand-woven fabric worn by most Ghanaians, to Her Excellency, Mrs. Nan Annan.
Otumfuo, Nana Hema, Nananom, Medamasi, Se and Avier, Majimen Yerene, if America buy a Magia Tumu, Namatuma name Nana, Namatuka MP, Naminya, and Quada, it is in the Odemamen. Timema. Ene maba menshia mabeshia minne midamu nyina ase madwuma no eso na menkwa mentumi nye enti moa mode mamen ena mpaebo a mobo mamen no ni nyina abo ame enti menenam kromu a menim se nya menkwa na menam na mudimechi eno na ama metumi maye adwuma kesi ede maame no na adwuma no de nipia ba kontumye enti Otumfuo Nana Hema ena Asanteman ena Ghana fo nyina medamo ase. Thank you.
That was the acceptance speech by Busumuru Kofi Annan, in which he thanked the Asantehene, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Queen Mother, and the people of the Ashanti Kingdom and all Ghanaians for the honor and for the vast network of support that have made it possible for him to embark on complex undertakings.
Many have heard about this title, Busumuru, and have asked what it means, why was it conferred on His Excellency Kofi Annan, and what he himself feels about it.
Otumfuo, as the king of the Ashantis, has the prerogative to bestow titles on people as a recognition of what they've done for society. The Busumuru title, I think probably Otumfuo might be better to explain it, but from what I gather, Busumuru is somebody who speaks for the voiceless, who looks after the disadvantaged, And I think that Otumfuo, looking at Kofi, let's say Kofi was raised up in Kumasi, even though, and the father is often a Ashanti from Joaso. The mother is a Fanti with roots from Akwamu. So when we take Kofi straddles almost 3 of our regions. And the idea was that Kofi has been a voice for the voiceless, looking after the disadvantaged, AIDS, he highlighted that Africa is the poorest region in the world. Let the whole world community move together in spirit of solidarity to be able to help Africa, So the wars in Sierra Leone and so forth, concern that the poor, the women and the children are the people who suffer most from these issues, and therefore let me do something about it. So Busumuru is somebody who protects the weak, somebody who speaks for the voiceless, somebody who is always there to take care of the disadvantaged. And I think he more than deserved the title Busumuru.
For me as an individual, I would say that the day Kofi Annan was nominated as the Secretary General of the United Nations, I reflected on it and basically took the position that it was useful. no matter how little it might contribute in the end, but it was nevertheless useful to have an African, particularly a black African, occupying a position of such prominence and responsibility in global affairs, if only also to begin to change mentalities. For those of us who live on the African continent, I don't think we have any difficulty relating with the daily challenges of life on our continent. We are a very resilient people. I think it was Professor Ali Mazrui who said that as Africans, we are the people of the day before yesterday and the people of the day after tomorrow. But for many people who live outside of Africa, it's very easy on account of the kinds of reporting they get on the continent to create and to keep an impression that Africa is a continent of war, a continent of disease, a continent of decay, a continent of so-called state collapse, and all of the negative attributes that have been associated with the continent. And then to imagine that nothing good can ever come out of the continent. The rise of a personality like Kofi Annan into the position of the Secretary Generalship of the United Nations, I think, should have contributed in some measure in breaking that kind of thinking in some circles, even if it did not completely eradicate it for a lot of structural reasons which are too detailed and too many for us to go into presently.